Hopefully I can make this video short because I really don't feel comfortable even thinking about this. A couple of days ago, I got wind of this viral story on Instagram about this young 23-year-old black girl who had autism that went missing back in early February after leaving her job at Hartsfield International Airport in Atlanta. She worked for a janitorial service even though she had autism. And when she ended her shift, she tried to go home, and but her bus pass was out of credits, and so the driver wouldn't let her get on the bus, even though she was wearing one of those she had one of those handicap cards in a lanyard around her neck. According to witnesses, she wasn't allowed on the bus. Now, I don't know what state laws are for that, but I know federal law, as most of you know, handicapped people usually get the right of way to everything, which they should, because the mentally and physically handicapped can't defend themselves. David Carroll just made a video loosely related to this issue about the 4 protected classes of human beings: small children, the deceased, the mentally and physically handicapped, and the elderly. So this bus driver, who was likely African American, wouldn't allow this poor young lady on the bus. And y'all know what I think about the black American female. I've made no qualms about what I think about them as a collective. But this is one of the few times when I actually feel genuine sympathy. This story really got me worked up. And it got me worked up even more because, terrible things happen to people, not just black people, people in general all the time. We know about what happened down in Parkland, Florida at the high school, and what happened at Sandy Hook, and what happens in a lot of gang and drug territories in Mexico and Colombia. But it really is enhanced. The emotions are enhanced when you think about the political bullshit of these Negroes talking about pro-blackness and Hotep and this stupid ass movie that everybody got a hard on for, Black Panther, and some hidden meaning about this magical city or dimension, Wakanda. And yet Negroes don't even give a fuck about each other at all. Negro, outside of immediate family, and sometimes even that's off, that's off boundaries. Negroes don't give a fuck about one another. They don't give a fuck about each other, but want to talk about some damn Wakanda. I mentioned this loosely in my other video. What the fuck are y'all talking about Wakanda for? In Wakanda, from what I understand, because I haven't watched the video, Negroes actually got along and fought alongside one another and stuck together. Y'all ain't got no time to be worried about no damn Wakanda. Ain't gonna be no damn Wakanda for y'all ass. Y'all too busy killing each other, raping each other, talking shit about each other, starting drama with each other, fighting each other, hating each other, deifying other races of people. What the fuck you talking about Wakanda for? Wakanda can't help you. Wakanda can't help you any more than that fucking dashiki can. Now, you have, you have a mentally handicapped woman, right? Wouldn't have mattered if it was a mentally handicapped man. And we've seen we've seen in the past Okay, we've seen in the past how Negroes treat those who can't defend or protect themselves. Okay, we've seen stories, like the black guy who he was drowning in a lake. Y'all remember that? The guy, he was drowning in a lake, and these young black kids were walking past shooting video of him trying to keep his head above water. And they were yelling, "Ain't nobody gonna help you," and making fun of him as he was drowning. And then he sunk beneath the waves and died. We've seen them, in my hometown of Chicago, beat and torture and cut a mentally handicapped white kid after kidnapping him, right? So we've seen how little regard these Negroes have, and that don't even include all the killing of just normal degenerate individuals in the community, and disregard for school children's safety with all the stray bullets flying. We've seen how much humanity a majority of these Negroes have. So this story really doesn't come as a surprise. But, okay, you see that a person is obviously handicapped, right? And their bus pass ran out. You're in Atlanta, right? This is not this is not Norway or Amsterdam. This is not a nice town per se. It's late at night. The wolves are out prowling the streets. From what I understand, this was not a very friendly neighborhood where this girl was trying to get on the bus. Yet you don't allow a mentally handicapped person, just out of consideration, even if it's not policy or law, you don't allow a mentally handicapped person who you can see is mentally challenged to get on the bus so they can get home safe. You can't make an exception to your rule. What the fuck is wrong with you? So then what happens? This poor girl can't get on the bus. And then she comes up missing. They say she left for work that night and never returned home. And to no surprise, a little over a month later, this white fisherman was out on his boat somewhere about 40 miles north of Atlanta. And he discovers a body crumpled in some trees laying alongside a river. He calls the sheriff's department. They come out there. They remove the body. They identify the body as 23-year-old Shanika Kwani Sullivan, the mentally handicapped autistic woman that had been missing for a month. So apparently she couldn't get on the bus, and she probably decided to try to walk home. And somebody probably forced her against her will to get in a vehicle, or they lured her to their vehicle, and only God knows what happened after that. I don't even want to think about it. Because, see, as a little kid, I was raised in a church where there was this boy named Bracy. Everybody knew Bracy. He was autistic. He was mentally challenged. He would walk around with his hands curled, and he had an overbite, and he was walking around. He had a long scar around the back of his head because when he was a little child, his aunt accidentally dropped him as an infant, and he suffered a severe skull fracture and brain damage. And because of that brain damage, he became autistic. Okay? And they didn't expect him to survive, but he survived long enough to become a grown man. And Bracy, everybody in the church always protected Bracy. We felt sorry for him. I mean, this is just even amongst Gettonians. I've even seen Gettonians protect people who are mentally challenged. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with people? Seriously, who in the fuck, who in the fuck does this except people who are savages? And then why am I supposed to get angry at the white boys on Stormfront when they talk about y'all? Why should I get angry? Why should I get offended at them when y'all do shit like this? Huh? Is there some measure of truth to that bigotry? Who in the fuck does that to a mentally handicapped person? They ain't got nothing to do with her being a woman, ain't got nothing to do with her being black. She can't defend herself. She's mentally handicapped. First of all, I'm trying to figure out, I know there's different levels of autism, just like there's different levels of cerebral palsy and Down syndrome. I don't know if those are one and the same or different forms, but I know it's a form of mental disability. It's not really a mental illness so much as it's a mental disability because it's more physical than it is psychological. Okay? So this person has a mental disability. They don't know any better. You know, I'm scratching my head trying to figure out who in the fuck decided that it was okay for her to walk home on the streets of Atlanta at night to a bus stop by herself or take the bus by herself coming from her little job. Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought that was a good idea? Now again, if she had a job, then she probably wasn't on the level. And see, another thing, something just hit me like an epiphany. All these females on here quarreling with each other, you know, flagging each other's channels down, you know, fucking with us. I bet my left nut, you won't hear none of them make a story about this. You got one black female on here making fun of a black man's dead sister. And you won't hear none of them. They always talking about how black women are demeaned and degraded. Here I am, a person, y'all know what I think about these females. And here I am making a story about a mentally autistic woman because I genuinely feel sorry for her and what the fuck happened to her. Because that's fucked up. Now, any type of rape, kidnapping, murder, assault is just god awful in and of itself. But that's compounded when you fuck with one of the 4 protected classes of human beings. And like David Carroll said, civilized society agrees with this. Small children, senior citizens, usually because, they're brittle, they're weak, they don't have any strength, they can't move fast. Some of them are partially blind, they may have dementia, Alzheimer's disease. You've seen Negroes mugging 70, 80, 90-year-old senior citizens. And y'all want to talk to me, and not just old people, black old people. Some of these old people marched in the streets with Martin Luther King during the civil rights movement, got beat on, got dog sicked on them, just so these little undeserving degenerates, because I almost said something else, these little undeserving degenerates could be in a free society where they could run up on them and punch them in the head and steal their wallet or their purse. But y'all want to tell me about Wakanda. Now, like I said, any murder is tragic. But it's just compounded, and being the part of Atlanta that this person was, it could have, where the body was found, it could have been a white person that did this. But we all know, just like in the case of the Atlanta child killings back in the 70s and the 80s, we all know there's a pretty good chance that we know the ethnic group of the suspect. More likely than not. We know. Even if the person turns out not to be a black male that did terrible things to this poor autistic girl, you have a situation where this person's co-workers her family members, and even a bus driver, all black, did not try to help this poor woman, this poor mentally challenged woman, get home. And again, y'all want to tell me about Wakanda. Fuck you.